Okay, now we revisit the concept of nothing. Um, I've I've been trying to hold it off, trying to go back into my philosophical, pseudo-scientific uh, contemplations, but the question of nothing does preoccupy my mind, and I look at all the discussions concerning the topic, very old discussions, some recent, and obviously I also develop my own concepts parallel to the development of the mainstream scientific point of view about nothing. And there is none, but every theory about nothing does get scrutinized, so I don't mind people scrutinizing my concepts as long as they can back it up scientifically. Statistical data is it is information. Yeah, I'll give it that. It is information. But when you understand the concept of nothing the way I do, then the concept of information also has connotations towards that. Nothing is a concept that is derived by the observer. Nothing, conceptually, should be applied, with certain postulations or assumptions, and with a predefined scale and context. The concept of nothing can be universal, but not intuitively, obviously. Yeah. So when you have a box of apples and you eat all the boxes of apples and you eat the last one, and now you have no apples. With respect to apples, you have reached a state of nothing. Nothing is not an independent variable, and it cannot exist independently of what we call something. Yeah? So there are variables out there that you can't use on their own, otherwise they'll be meaningless. Yeah? There are constants out there that can't be used on their own, otherwise they'll be meaningless. So a constant that can't be used on its own, or without the risk of rendering it useless, is not a constant. Yeah, it's a variable. So we could say that nothing is a constant that is variable. You can't say nothing, 1, 2, yeah? Although numbers can be viewed as constants, but they can also be seen as variables. You can't say 1, you have to say 1 what? 1 car, one lighter, one cigarette. You can't just say one by itself. But then if one is like a passenger, yeah. So one can go to objects, yeah, can be applied to objects, yeah. So now it's one of an object. One can be applied to flow, yeah. So one unit of flow, no units of flow. Yeah. So numbers themselves are constants, but they apply to things which are variable. The constants can't exist without being applied to a variable. Yeah. If you know this, then you can get back to what zero is and nothing. So nothing, to the observer, if you don't apply it to anything, there's no point. Yeah, it becomes obsolete. If you don't apply nothing to something, it becomes obsolete. Because think about existence. What we say is something. When you look at what we call something, yeah, it's normally with reference to mass and energy, which are one and the same thing, which fundamentally is all energy, yeah, or force, right? Force over a distance and time, energy, power. So it's all force, right? Because if you break down existence, it breaks down to force, which in terms of mass is nothing. Yeah, a nothing mass. Yeah, is force. When there's no mass, there's force. Yeah. Now, if you're telling me that the creation we see, when we say that something exists, we're talking about a force that in terms of mass, yeah, you can't say something has mass because that's something that would have emerged out of fundamental forces interacting with themselves. Yeah. So you can't say something is not nothing. Yeah. Then you can say that definitely something is made of nothing with respect to mass. So something is nothing. So what's nothing? Something. Yeah. But what's something? Nothing. So what's nothing? Nothing. Yeah. So because what you think the world looks like, when you define an object, there's causality, I think they call it. Yeah. The effect that registers as an object in your mind, not your brain, in your mind, yeah, is heavily dependent on the way your consciousness works. Like I said, if you have more colors that you can process in your visual cortex, like birds and dogs, not dogs have less, I think, birds and things like that, what you see as objects will have other details that we don't have as human beings. So you're seeing nothing and you're imagining mass, a there-ness. Yeah. For a force to register as being there, yeah, it has to be concentrating. When you concentrate nothing, yeah, when you concentrate force and you compact it, it becomes something. So when you concentrate nothing, which has a mass of zero, somewhere at a scale, it looks to you like it's there. But yet, if you was to be at that scale, yeah, you and what you're observing would be nothing. Yeah. Talking about nothing is not a waste of time because you're not talking about anything. Yeah, but basically, what we call something is nothing. So when you want to know what's nothing, yeah, as something, you got to know that something is nothing. So what we call something is nothing. So therefore, nothing is something that's nothing. It's just like everything else. Yeah. If something equals nothing, then nothing equals something. That is nothing. Yeah. Yeah. So when you look at man, the manipulator, your consciousness makes qualia. Yeah. The world you see, you're making it up. Yeah. But what you're using to make this qualia is a substance. It's a force substance. Yeah. It's a force substance. So when you say there's this argument, it's a famous argument, I can't remember what it's called. The Kalam argument. What's it called? So anyway, basically when you say something that comes into existence has a beginning, but when you say something, if that something is nothing, yeah, then where did you're saying that nothing began to exist? Yeah, nothing doesn't begin to exist, yeah, until there's an observer who it is relevant to. Yeah. So you see, nothing can't become something unless the observer appears. Yeah. All right. The observer has to come first, and just by him looking at nothing, it became something. Yeah. Causality. Yeah. I don't know if that confirms the argument, but everything that comes into being, everything that becomes something has to have a beginning. Okay? But the fabric of that something is still nothing. So existence and somethingness can't begin until there's an observer. Yeah, to give it qualia. Without that observer, it's in a state of nothing. Yeah. Then you say, is the observer something? Is the observer is the only thing that's something? But we know that your mind is nothing. Yeah. If we talk about there-ness, it's nothing. So the observer is nothing. Yeah. Then when you think about yourself, you become something. That's sign. So an observer, once you start to think about nothing, it starts to become something. Yeah? On the ontological existence of nothing. If you thought it, what you thought is something. So everything we see in the universe, somebody must have observed it from nothing for it to become something that we can see as something. Yeah? When you say the there-ness, you have to know that what we consider to be there isn't there. forces don't have mass. If theirness has connotations towards mass, yeah, forces are massless particles, yeah. So if everything breaks down into a force particle, yeah, they talk about the fast particle to carry mass, yeah, and it's a subjective definition of mass at that scale. Everything is energy, yeah, an energy level that you call mass is still energy, still force. uh, so nothing can begin to exist unless there is a nothing that's aware. Yeah. So there is a difference in scale. Yeah. When it comes to what you know as something. All right. So you can't apply nothing without having something to apply it to. Yeah. And this is a superposition that you can't break. You can't think beyond it. You're gonna be cynical and come up with all different stupidness about it's possible to have something without nothing. No, it's impossible to have something without nothing, and vice versa. You can't have nothing without something. It's a superposition. Yeah. All right. So nothing and something, there's the superposition. Where did that begin? Yeah. Well, you can't say that because if it didn't begin, if it started from nothing, it would have still existed as something. If it started from something, it would still be nothing. So it's just like you got to know that that's just, you can't separate a superposition, because once you collapse the wave function, then you destroy the beginning. Yeah. So the beginning has to be a wave function. Yeah. Nothing and something. Yeah. And an observer. Yeah. Who separates it into something and nothing. Yeah. So but the observer is himself is made of the same substance as this nothing something superposition. Yeah. So where did this nothing something superposition, did it begin to exist? You can't even use concepts like exist. You can't use nothing without using something. Yeah. You can't use something without using nothing. So in that sense, you could say there is no beginning if something is nothing and nothing is something. Nothing's begun yet. It's all nothing. Yeah. So just wanted you to think about that. Criticize it if you want. I wanna see what you lot think about this.